Alright, so hello again, and in this one I'm going to show you how to simply uh, how to install how to install Postman. I'm also going to give you an introduction for it. All right, the very basic things that we are going to be interacting with throughout the course. All right, so let's actually get going. All right, so what is Postman basically? Postman is a tool, it's just a software that we use to simply test EBIs. All right, so you can test APIs with various ways. For example, you can test it with Gazelle, which is like a package, a composer package. You can test it with also Curl, which is simply a tool that's implemented right inside PHP, or that's actually written inside PHP. And you can also test it with a software, just like Postman here, which is just an API client, all right, which is actually more human friendly than the other tools because it's simply an interface that you can work with, all right, very easily. Contains buttons, inputs, and a lot of other stuff, all right, unlike Gazelle and Curl, which you simply need to write code to actually test APIs, all right. So it also helps developers to, of course, send get, post, and put and delete methods in here, HTTP methods in here to simply, which are the main components of every API out there, all right? This also shows the responses of testing when testing APIs in an easy to read format. We have a lot of formats out there. The most important one that we are going to use, like 99, maybe 100% of the time, is actually JSON, all right? And we also have XML and HTML right inside Postman, all right? Also saves us time compared to other testing tools, as I said, mainly like in the browser or the command line, right? So it saves us time. It's just a software that we're going to use. It's very friendly, contains everything that we need, unlike the browser simply, which simply does not contain like these components or actually inputs or buttons and all of these other things, right? You can simply think of your Postman as like as your EBI browser, all right? If the browser is if you're using the browser for web applications, for web views based applications, um, then actually Postman is basically what's used for EBIs. All right, so why Postman? As I said, so I use Postman. As I said, it's easy to use, beginner friendly, and supports like all HTTP requests. And it lets you send even headers, query parameters, and body data easily. All right, so the terminology in here might scare you a bit of the headers and the query parameters and the body and all of that. But just think of the headers as some extra information that we send to format our response, right? And the query parameters are simply like parameters on the web, all right? And the body data is the payload, is the data that you are sending when you're simply storing or updating data, all right? It also saves us requests into collections, all right, for use, so we can actually save stuff. And it also helps us create documentation. It's a very, very important part of every ABI application out there, all right? And of course, it's cross-platform. It works on Windows, Mac, and Linux, right? So installing Postman is very simple. Just like any other software, we're going to go to postman.com, and then we're going to choose which operating system that we have, and then we're just installing this. We're going to install it like a normal program, all right? um, um, when you actually go ahead and try and install it, or after you install it, might ask you to simply create an account. If you do not have one, just go ahead and create one. All right, it's basically optional, but it's also it's highly recommended. All right, because you're gonna actually use this later. So yeah. And the summary in here, that Postman is your testing playground for STBIs, and you can simply send different requests, whether it's post, put, get, delete, and also we can check JSON responses, and we can debug and verify our APIs. All right, so I think that this is the last slide basically. All right, and yeah, let's actually go ahead and try and install Postman. All right, so we're back again, and let's actually go ahead and try and install Postman. So all what we need to do is to just go postman.com like this, or simply just Postman, and this should actually open up the website, the main page. All right, so I probably should just go Postman, simply in here. All right, so this will actually show me this. So if I click in Postman like that, or I can simply click download Postman. All right, so I can simply block this. All right, it will probably not show you this because this is related to my account on Postman. But if I simply go ahead, if I try and log out, it will show you another page, but I don't want to log out. I'm just gonna go ahead and go Postman in here in an incognito window. All right. Um, Let me go postman.com like this. If I click on download Postman, there you go in here. Since I'm not logged in here, then it will not show me the other one, all right, the other home page. All right, so if we click right now download like this, all right, now you can actually go ahead and download it like this. All right, but I already have it and I installed it, so this is why I'm not simply gonna upload it, sorry, download it and install it. I already have it right in here. I think you've already noticed this, but again, just very, very simple. It just goes next, 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 and you simply create an account, and that's all. All right, that's basically it. um so right after I install it, just open it up like this. All right, so right after you open it up, it should look like this. Probably it will be different for you because if you take a look, you're not gonna see any of these collections. These are in here are called collections. All right, I'm just gonna give you a preview of what actually going on in here, of the very simple stuff that we are gonna be interacting with. All right, the most important stuff. All right, so here we have like a widget. As you can see, this is what's called collections. All right, you can think of a collection as basically like you create a collection for every project that you have. All right, you can think of a collection that's simply related endpoints, or actually the requests related to a certain project. So every one of these collections in here are related to a certain project. All right, if you want to create a new collection, which is of course something that we are going to be doing, if we click in here, then you're going to click blank collection like this. So this actually allows us to start a new collection, and we can write the name. Maybe I will write just demo in here. All right, you can type this, you can name this whatever that you like. If I actually just press like this, now it should actually rename it like this. All right, totally empty like that. All right, and inside every collection out there, we're gonna have requests and folders. All right, if we click in here, then you're gonna see we have add requests and simply add folder, run, share, copy, ASCII, rename, duplicate, sort, and delete, and just goes on. All right, I think most of these things you already know what you're doing. Basically, yeah, you probably you 100% know what rename, duplicate, and delete do. All right, but if we actually create, if we go in here and create a folder, all right, this will allow us to just have a folder like this. We can call this in here, for example, posts. All right, like this. This is simply, well, if we click in here, this will rename this folder like this. Now we can create simply requests right inside this folder, or we can also go ahead and create requests in the same in the same tree, all right, of simply the demo in here. So this is simply what a request will look like. All right, so again, all of these are just widget, and this is the first part, or this is like a widget that we have in here. And now we have two other widgets. If we click, if we create a new request like this, if we go ahead in here, and I'm gonna just rename this to actually posts like that. All right. If I click in here, this name of the request will change. All right. You can see in here that we have tabs. Right. I think that this is pretty self-explanatory. Here you can simply add the description of this folder. All right. That will contain too many requests. All right. And here, if you take a look at the request, then you're gonna see that we actually have two widgets. The first widget in here is just it's consisting from this from the method, the HTTP methods in here. If it's simply a select box, so you can choose your HTTP method right there, and here you can simply send in your route that you want to hit or your endpoint. All right, and here you can simply click send, so it will actually hit this endpoint. All right, and the next part of this widget, or the second part of this widget, is simply these tabs. So most of the most important tabs that you're going to be working with is simply the params in here, which allows you to send a parameter, and also the authorization in here, which simply allows you to send a token. And we're going to, of course, learn about tokens and how to simply pass them, create them with syncHTML later on in this course, right? And we also have headers in here. The headers are just information that you send right along with the request, so it will actually format your request in a certain manner, right? For example, if we go ahead in here and click accept, and if we go ahead in here, we can simply go and mostly you're gonna go something like this. If you're working, you're gonna go application slash JSON. So we're saying here that we want to accept only application slash JSON as a response, or we want to turn the response as JSON. This is what we're doing in here. You're mostly also gonna use something like this, which is content type, which also accepts um, the same value, right? And you're saying that you also want the response to be JSON, right? And you're also gonna go for something else, which is the authorization in here. All right, the authorization simply allows you to send the token. So let's say you're working with a route that simply needs the token in order for you to access it. Then you're gonna send the token right in here. Not gonna you can also send it at the authorization, right? And you can also send it right in here in the headers. All right. We also have something else, which is actually the body. So the body is simply you send data in here, or you're actually when you try and like update or create a new resource or a new item, a new record, then you send in the data, whether it's in the format, the form dash data. You send simply the keys and values like this, or it's simply you can send it as raw JSON, right inside this part. All right, can simply send it as raw JSON. Let's say, for example, the post has a title like this. You're gonna go title and then new post title like that in here. All right, so this is basically how it goes. I know that things sound a little bit complicated for you and you don't understand everything, but throughout the course you'll actually get familiar with all of this. All right, Postman might actually sound scarier at first, but you do not simply need to master and know everything in here in order to work with it. All right, what I'm going to show you in this video are the most important parts, all right, that you need to know. All right, so again, this is the first widget, and in here this part is simply the second widget. All right, and the third widget is simply the widget that is related to the response that simply comes back once you hit a certain endpoint. All right, so to simply do to show you a response, then I want to go ahead and I want to actually like write a certain endpoint in here. All right, but I don't we did not create any project just yet. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna use a public fake API in order to do this. So I'm gonna go ahead in here, I'm gonna go in here and go JSON fake API. All right, so as you can see, if we enter something like this, or if you actually go for a JSON placeholder, this is the link that I was actually looking for. If we click this right now, then we're gonna actually go to this website, which simply allows us to simply have access to a fake and reliable API for testing and prototyping. All right, here we can just this website already provides us with these resources. all right, which are simply posts. It can be comments, albums, photos, studios, and users, and it simply provides us with fake data. Once we hit any one of these routes in here, then it's gonna return 100 posts or 500 comments, 100 albums, and just goes on and on and on. If we actually open, if we copy this in here, if we open this up, you're gonna see that we have too many posts in here, and this is what we call JSON. All right. If we copy this, I want to actually go ahead and I want to paste it right in here. Okay. Make sure to like install this extension. It's simply named JSON formatter, which simply formats your JSON like this. All right. It looks human friendly in here. All right. So this is simply what should be returned once we hit this route. If we copy this and if we go right in here and actually go ahead and paste this like that, all right. Here since we're returning data, right, and showing data, then we need to go for a get response like this, right? If we go ahead and click send right now, this should actually show us the data that we have right inside that we have at this part in here. All right, as you can see right there. So yeah, this is basically what we have in here. And of course, Postman is, it's not just for testing local APIs. You can simply go for APIs or that are uploaded, all right, that are hosted like this. All right, so this is the first request. You can take a look in here and see the response of that request. You can see that all what we have in here is this part, right? And also what we are seeing here is just the body, which is what we care about. You can see that we have a select box right in here, which are simply these formats that we have for this response. So for example, here you can see JSON, XML, HTML, and JavaScript. What we care about the most is simply JSON, all right? So you can see in here that we have just an object of arrays of JSON in here with the like a user ID, the ID, the title, and the body, of course. All right. We also have the status code or the response code, and here which is 200. Okay, which means request successful. The server has responded as required. And you can also see the response time, which is 330 milliseconds, and also the response size like this. And we can click in here and simply save this response if we want to. All right. So yeah, this is basically what or how a response looks like. Right. For example, if we want to like create a new post, if we go back in here. All right. So we need to actually go for I need to go for the main website. Let's actually copy this right now. All right, if we go ahead, if we go down at the bottom, you're gonna see in here that we have these resources. We've already hit the posts, and still mean here that we have routes. So it's also giving me access to actually not just display posts. We can also, all HTTP methods are supported. You can use HTTP or HTTPS for your requests. I'm also allowed to like go for other types of HTTP methods. For example, if I hit just the slash posts right along with the post method, and it's gonna allow me to simply insert a new post. Let's try this out. So we can go in here and go post. Post like this, and I can simply go ahead. Let me see in here. Yeah, I can simply go ahead in here. If I want to insert data right now, I need to go inside the body, and I can go for the row, I can go for the title, and also the user ID. All right, you can see that we can simply use these in here to insert new data, and I can simply go for the body like this. I can go, here is the body of this. Here is the body of this post. All right, if we click send now, then there you go in here. It's giving me the post that we just created right now. As you can see, it's giving me a title, which is the title that I just created, and the user ID, which is this one in here. Actually, the user ID, it should be like a number, all right? But this is like a mistake, right? But it returned it anyway. So we have the body in here, which is the body right there, and we have the ID, which is actually 101, right? So we've created a new post in here because our latest response returned 100 posts. All right, the latest ID was actually 100. All right, so now this is a new post like this. As you can see in here, 201 created, returned as a response code, right? Which means that the resource is created successfully. But of course, this is not going to be inserted right inside their database, right? Because it's just if they allowed everybody to simply send in data to their database, then it will be flooded, right? This is just a fake API, which simply shows you how things are gonna go. All right, once you test APIs and work with this course. All right, this is what I'm trying to show you in here. We can also like return a certain a single resource. For example, if we go for get back, and then if we go slash in here and send like a certain ID of a post, let's send one, for example. We click send like this. All right, so as you can see, we're getting the first post like this, which has the ID 1. If we go back in here, you can see that if we hit this response, which is if we hit this request slash post and then send in a certain ID, can be 1, can be 2, can be anything, with of course the get method, then we're gonna actually get a single resource. All right, this is what we have in here. All right, if we send do, you're gonna see that we're getting a different post like this with different data, right? With different with a different ID, and the response code also changed like this. All right, so this is basically what I wanted to show you in here. I know that things sound a little bit complicated, and so, all right, if you do not, and if you understood nothing in this video, that's totally fine. You're gonna work with those a lot, so you do not actually need to memorize things. All right, you're gonna work with this a lot as we are gonna go through the course. All right, the most important part of this video, if you're gonna take something with you, is just install Postman correctly, and you simply create a new account if it asks you to. All right, so yeah, so this is basically it, and I will see you in the next video.